Hello, we are going to continue with hyperbolas and we are going to talk about writing equations of hyperbolas in this section. So I'm going to go ahead and skip through all of this. If you refer back to the last video, it will go through those three graphs plus all of the basic information. I'm going to do three or so, maybe four of these, and then we will, I definitely will come back and do more if you need me to. So first one, vertices. Notice that my vertices compared to my foci, the changes in my x, so that I know this is horizontal. So my x needs to come first. And since the other part is 0 and this is +2, -2, halfway between +2 and -2 is 0. So I know my center is at 0, 0. Okay, and because I know it's horizontal, because my x changed, that means I need to have my x first, subtracting my y. The next thing you need to do is consider if your center is at 0, 0, how far to the right did you move? If you went right 2, that means in the denominator I need to have 2 squared. Okay. To find your b, you need to remember c squared equals a squared plus b squared. In this problem, that's my c. This is my a, my 2 is my a. So I'm going to go ahead and do 9 equals 4 plus b squared. So b squared is 5. I could find that b is the square root of 5, but I'm going to square it again anyway. So when I simplify this, I get x squared over 4 minus y squared over 5 equals 1. That's it. You're going to do the same thing for b. C is very similar. We're given our vertices and our asymptotes. So remember, our asymptotes are going to be the denominator of our y divided by the denominator of our x, but we got to square both of those. Because I have +1, -1, that means my center has to be at 0, 0. So when I plug this in, and then it's my x, so this has to be horizontal. So I have x squared, and I have a minus y squared. And then under my y, I'm going to square that 4, which is 16. And under my x, I'm going to square the 1, which is 1. And I don't really need to write the 1 there. If you leave it, it's fine. But that's your final answer. Okay, for the next problem, you'll notice that my vertices aren't at the same number, like a positive and negative something. So that means my center is not at 0, 0. So I need to find the midpoint of 2 and 6. So 2 plus 6 is 8, divided by 2, I get 4. So in between 2 and 6, we have 4. And then to get from 4 to 6, it's 2. That's my A value. Remember, my foci is my C value. So going from 4 to 9, my C is going to be 5 there. So if you plug that in, C squared equals A squared plus B squared. I'm going to leave that like this for a second just to show you. My Y's are the ones that are changing, so I know it's vertical. So I'm going to put Y first, and then since it's not at center, not at 0, 0 for my center, I have to do Y minus 4. And then X minus 0, or X. And then my A always goes in the first fraction, so 2 squared is 4. And then B squared is always going to go in the second fraction. The reason I didn't do that is because if I solve for B, I have to square it again anyway. So instead of doing the square root of 21 and then squaring it, I'm just going to leave it. And that's my final answer. Okay. Remember, eccentricity gives you C and A, so you just need to use that to find your B. Everything else is going to be very similar to what we did in the last one, so I'm going to let you try that one on your own. And the last one we're going to do is a little different. This one is also vertical because my Y's are changing, but my X's are not. So in between -2 and 2, we actually have a 0. So when I set this up, I'm going to have a Y minus 0 squared minus X minus 1 squared equals 1. And then from 0 to 2 is 2. So 2 squared gives me 4 in the denominator. But I don't know how to find my B squared right now. So I'm going to leave that there. They do give me a little bit more information. So I'm going to plug 4 in for that Y. And I'm going to plug in 3 here. So 4 squared is 16 divided by 4. And 3 minus 2 is 2 squared, which is 4, over b squared equals 1. So if I simplify this and solve for b squared, and then I'm going to multiply by b squared, so I get negative 3b squared. So b squared is really 4 over 3. Okay, 2 negatives make it a positive. So I'm going to go back and plug this in. I have y squared over 4 minus x minus 1 squared over 4/3 equals 1. Remember that dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So if I flip that around, I get this. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I showed that to you because it's a little different, it's a little bit trickier. And that's all you're really doing. I did skip E and B, so try those two. If you have any questions, let me know. One thing I do want to remind you is you do not have to do every single practice problem that's in that packet. Do what you need to do to feel comfortable. Try the quiz on Canvas. See how you're doing. Remember, our goal right now is just that you're familiar with the algebra and the skills here so that you're prepared for your next math class. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.